The quantum anomaly detector screamed to life, its readings off the charts as Dr. Victoria Nash stared at her monitors in disbelief. After 15 years of searching the cosmos for signs of intelligent life, she hadn't expected to find it on a routine night at the Mauna Kea Observatory. "This can't be right," she muttered, her dark curls falling forward as she leaned closer to the screen. The energy signature was unlike anything she'd ever seen, a perfect spiral of quantum fluctuations that defied the laws of physics. Victoria's hands flew across the keyboard, running diagnostic after diagnostic. But each test confirmed what she was seeing. Something massive was about to breach our dimension, right above Earth's atmosphere. The air in her observatory crackled with static electricity. Her equipment sparked and sputtered, displays flickering with interference. Victoria grabbed her tablet, backing away from the failing systems, but she couldn't tear her eyes from the window as reality itself seemed to tear open. A ship emerged from the rift, if you could call it a ship. The vessel looked more like a living crystal, its surface shifting and flowing like liquid mercury. It was beautiful, terrifying, and completely impossible. Victoria's heart pounded as she transmitted an emergency signal to her superiors at the Global Space Initiative. But before she could complete the transmission, a beam of light shot from the vessel, surrounding her in a column of shimmering energy. The world dissolved around her, reforming into a vast chamber with walls that pulsed with bioorganic light. Victoria found herself face to face with a being that could only be described as otherworldly. He stood nearly 7 feet tall, his skin a pale silver that seemed to shimmer with its own inner light. Intricate markings curved along his exposed arms and neck, glowing with a soft blue radiance. But it was his eyes that held her transfixed. They were completely black except for pinpoints of starlight that seemed to move and dance within their depths. Dr. Victoria Nash. His voice resonated in her mind rather than her ears, rich and melodious despite its alien nature. "I am Prince Xerxes of the Ketharan Empire. You have been watching us for some time now." Victoria struggled to find her voice, her scientific mind warring with the impossible reality before her. "How do you know my name?" "We have been watching you as well." He moved closer, his movements fluid and predatory. "Your work on quantum entanglement communications drew our attention. You came closer than any human before you to understanding the true nature of space-time. If you've been monitoring us, why reveal yourself now?" Victoria's fear began to give way to curiosity, her researcher's instincts taking over. Xerxes' expression darkened, the lights beneath his skin pulsing faster. "Because we no longer have a choice. A great darkness approaches, Dr. Nash, one that threatens both our peoples. The Ketharan Empire needs humanity's help, specifically your help." "My help? What could I possibly offer an advanced civilization like yours?" "Your mind?" Xerxes reached out, his long fingers stopping just short of touching her temple. "Your unique way of seeing the universe. There is a reason you were able to detect our arrival when all others failed. You possess something rare, something that exists in neither human nor Ketharan biology alone." Victoria felt a pull toward him, an inexplicable connection that both thrilled and terrified her. "And what is that?" "The ability to bridge our two species, to see patterns that others miss." His star-filled eyes seemed to peer into her soul. "You are what our ancient texts call a nexus, a being capable of joining two evolutionary paths into something entirely new." Before Victoria could process this revelation, alarms blared throughout the chamber. Xerxes' head snapped up, his body tensing. "They followed us through the rift." "Who followed you?" "The Void Hunters. They seek to destroy any species capable of achieving dimensional travel." He grabbed her hand, his touch sending electric tingles up her arm. "I had hoped to explain everything properly, to give you a choice, but now we must run." As if to emphasize his words, an explosion rocked the ship. Victoria stumbled, but Xerxes caught her, pulling her close against his solid form. "Trust me," he whispered in her mind, "or both our worlds will fall." Looking into those star-filled eyes, Victoria made a decision that would alter the course of human history. She nodded, and together they raced through the living corridors of the ship, pursued by an enemy she couldn't see but could feel approaching, a darkness that hungered for the light of all living things. What Victoria didn't know was that this was more than a simple pursuit. It was the beginning of a prophecy set in motion millennia ago, and her connection to the alien prince would either save two civilizations or doom them both. Through the twisting corridors of the crystalline ship, Victoria ran alongside Prince Xerxes, her mind racing faster than her feet. The vessel's walls pulsed with warning lights, casting shadows that danced like living things. Behind them, the heavy footfalls of their pursuers echoed with increasing intensity. The prophecy speaks of this moment. Xerxes' voice resonated in her mind as they reached a sealed chamber. His fingers danced across a bioorganic panel, causing the door to spiral open. But I never truly believed it would be a human who held the key. Inside, the chamber took Victoria's breath away. A massive holographic display filled the center of the room, showing countless stars and galaxies swirling in perfect detail. But what caught her attention were the dark patches spreading through the cosmic map like cancer. "The Void Hunters aren't just after us, are they?" Victoria asked, her scientific mind already analyzing the patterns. "This is systematic extinction." Xerxes' starlit eyes dimmed slightly. "They consume entire civilizations, absorbing their knowledge and technology. Each species they destroy makes them stronger." He pointed to a particular section of the map. The Ketharan Empire stands as one of the last major powers capable of resisting them, and now they've found Earth. A violent explosion rocked the ship, throwing Victoria against Xerxes. His arms instinctively wrapped around her, and in that moment of contact, something extraordinary happened. Images flooded her mind, ancient text carved into crystal walls, a quantum equation that seemed to solve itself, and a devastating weapon that could only be activated by combining Ketharan and human DNA. Victoria pulled back, gasping. "What was that?" "The Nexus bond beginning to form," Xerxes explained, his skin glowing brighter. "Your mind is naturally attuned to quantum frequencies, allowing you to receive Ketharan thought patterns. It's why you were able to detect our arrival." Another explosion, closer this time. The ship's living walls trembled, and Victoria could have sworn she heard them cry out in pain. "The prophecy speaks of a human and Ketharan joining not just in mind, but in spirit," Xerxes continued, moving to a control panel. "Together they would unlock the power to push back the void. But my people, they refused to believe that humans could be our equals." Victoria's eyes narrowed. "Is that why you came alone, against orders?" A sad smile crossed Xerxes' alien features. "Not entirely alone. Computer initiate protocol nexus. Authorization, royal blood." The chamber transformed, revealing hidden compartments containing what looked like advanced weaponry and research equipment. But more surprisingly, several stasis pods emerged from the walls, each containing a sleeping Ketharan. "My most trusted advisors and scientists," Xerxes explained. "Those who believed in the prophecy and were willing to risk everything to prove it true." Victoria approached one of the pods, studying the sophisticated being within. "Your people would rather face extinction than work with humans. The Ketharan Empire has ruled the stars for millennia. Pride becomes deeply rooted over such time." Xerxes moved to stand beside her. "But I've watched your species. Your adaptability, your creativity, your capacity for both logic and emotion, these are traits my people lost in our pursuit of perfection." A proximity alert blared through the chamber. The Void Hunters were breaching the outer hull. "We're out of time," Xerxes said, pulling Victoria toward a central platform. "The choice before you is monumental, Dr. Nash. If you accept the Nexus bond, there's no going back. You'll be forever changed, caught between two worlds." Victoria thought of her life on Earth, her research, her solitary nights studying the stars, always feeling somehow different from those around her. Perhaps this was why. "And if I refuse, then I'll return you to Earth immediately. But know that without the bond, without the weapon it could help us create, both our worlds will fall to the void." The ship shuddered violently. Through the mental connection growing between them, Victoria could feel Xerxes' fear not for himself, but for all those who would suffer if they failed. She stepped onto the platform. What do we need to do? Relief and something deeper flashed in Xerxes' star-filled eyes. He joined her on the platform, taking her hands in his. Open your mind to me completely. Don't fight what you see or feel. The Nexus bond requires total trust. As the Void Hunters breached the final barrier to their chamber, Victoria looked up into those impossible eyes and let her mental walls drop. The universe seemed to hold its breath as human and Ketharan consciousness began to merge. What neither of them knew was that this moment would trigger events far beyond their understanding. For while the prophecy spoke of salvation, it remained silent about the price that would be demanded of them both. The Nexus bond exploded through Victoria's consciousness like a supernova. Suddenly, she wasn't just herself, she was more. Ketharan knowledge flooded her mind. Quantum mathematics that made her previous research look like child's play, the true nature of spacetime, and the devastating capabilities of the Void Hunters. But it wasn't just information. She felt Xerxes' presence intertwined with her own, his emotions washing over her in waves. Determination, hope, and something deeper that made her heart race. Through his eyes, she saw herself glowing with quantum energy, her human form now threaded with lines of silvery light similar to his own markings. Remarkable, Xerxes whispered, both aloud and in her mind. The bond is stronger than any recorded in our histories. Their moment of wonder was shattered as the chamber doors burst inward. The Void Hunters poured through the breach, massive beings that seemed to drink in the light around them, their forms shifting between solid and gaseous states. Where their feet touched the living metal of the ship, decay spread like frost. But now Victoria could see them properly. Through Ketharan eyes, she perceived the quantum structure of their existence, the weakness in their dimensional shifting abilities. The weapon, she gasped, the knowledge suddenly clear in her mind. It's not just about combining our DNA, it's about the quantum resonance between species. Xerxes' understanding merged with her own. Together, they moved as one toward the control panel, their synchronized movements guided by shared insight. The stasis pods containing Xerxes' loyal followers began to pulse with energy. Hold them off, Xerxes commanded as the pods opened, his fellow Ketharans emerging with weapons ready. They formed a defensive line, firing streams of crystalline energy that forced the Void Hunters back. Victoria's fingers flew across the panel, guided by millennia of Ketharan scientific knowledge now accessible through the bond. The prophecy wasn't about creating a weapon, she explained as she worked. It was about creating a new form of existence, one that could resist the void's entropy. Through their shared consciousness, Xerxes saw her plan. The quantum resonance of the Nexus bond could be amplified to protect others, Victoria finished. Not just Ketharans and humans, but any species willing to join in harmony rather than conquest. A Void Hunter broke through the defensive line, its darkness reaching for Victoria. But before it could touch her, Xerxes was there, his body glowing with unprecedented brightness. The hunter recoiled, its form destabilizing as it encountered their combined energy. They fear this, Victoria realized. Not just the weapon we could create, but what our bond represents. The void feeds on isolation and entropy, but the Nexus bond creates connection and growth. More hunters poured in, but now the ship itself seemed to respond to their joined consciousness. The walls pulsed with new life, quantum barriers springing up to shield them as Victoria completed the final calculations. Victoria, Xerxes' mental voice carried an urgent warning. What you're proposing? It would change both our species forever. The energy required could burn out the Nexus bond, separating us permanently. She met his star-filled eyes, feeling the depth of what had grown between them in these intense moments. Or it could make the bond permanent, binding us together for eternity. Either way, it's worth the risk. Around them, the quantum barriers began to fail. The Void Hunter's entropy field was growing stronger, threatening to consume them all. The ship's living metal groaned under the assault, its bioorganic systems starting to decay. Your people will never accept this level of change, Victoria added softly. Neither will mine. Xerxes' hand found hers on the control panel. Then we'll give them no choice, together. Together, they activated the quantum resonance chamber just as the barriers collapsed. Energy surged through the ship, through their joined bodies, through the very fabric of space-time itself. Victoria felt herself beginning to transform, her consciousness expanding beyond human limitations. The Void Hunters screamed, a sound that existed in dimensions beyond normal hearing, as their entropy field encountered something entirely new. The combined evolutionary potential of two species choosing to grow together rather than fight. But as the energy reached its peak, Victoria realized this was just the beginning. The true test wouldn't be defeating the hunters. It would be convincing both humans and Ketharans to accept the change that was coming. Through her bond with Xerxes, she could already feel the ripples of resistance spreading across both civilizations. The universe held its breath as ancient prophecy collided with modern choice, and two beings caught between worlds prepared to fight for a future neither species had imagined possible. The transformation rippled across space like a quantum shockwave. Victoria opened her eyes to a changed universe. She could see gravitational fields, quantum probabilities, and the delicate threads of space-time itself. Her body hummed with new energy, silvery markings similar to Xerxes now permanently etched into her skin. But they had no time to marvel at the change. Emergency alerts flashed across the ship's living displays. Both Earth and Ketharan vessels were approaching, weapons charged. "They're afraid," Xerxes said, his thoughts clear in Victoria's mind. "Both sides detected the quantum surge. They think we've created a weapon of mass destruction." Through their strengthened bond, Victoria felt the approaching forces. Earth's hastily assembled defense fleet bristled with nuclear weapons, while the Ketharan Armada's crystalline ships pulsed with enough energy to shatter planets. "Your father," Victoria realized, reading the quantum signature of the lead Ketharan vessel. "The Emperor himself has come." Xerxes' jaw tightened. He would never accept that our salvation lies in evolution rather than conquest. He'll try to separate us, study the bond, weaponize it. A transmission cut through their ship's defenses. The Emperor's face appeared on multiple screens, his star-filled eyes blazing with fury. "My son, you have committed treason against the Empire. Surrender the human and return home. Perhaps then I might spare your life." Before Xerxes could respond, another transmission broke through, this one from Earth's Global Defense Council. "Dr. Nash, you are ordered to terminate contact with the alien entities immediately. Your actions have been deemed a threat to human security." Victoria stepped forward, her newly enhanced consciousness formulating a plan. "They need to see, Xerxes, not just be told, but truly see what we've discovered." Understanding flowed between them. Together, they reached out through their quantum bond, extending their shared consciousness toward both fleets. The ship systems amplified their power, creating a temporary neural link with every being within range. For one breathtaking moment, humans and Ketharans experienced the truth. The approaching doom of the Void Hunters, the potential of their combined evolution, and the raw power of the connection that had formed between Victoria and Xerxes. The effect was immediate. Some ships powered down their weapons, their crews moved by the vision. Others maintained their hostile stance, fear and suspicion overwhelming the momentary insight. "Abomination," the Emperor's voice thundered. "You dare to corrupt our pure bloodline with human weakness. I name you outcast, Xerxes. You are no son of mine." The Ketharan ships opened fire, their quantum beams slicing through space. At the same time, Earth's fleet launched a barrage of missiles, their primitive but effective weapons forcing Xerxes' ship into evasive maneuvers. "We can't fight both fleets," Victoria said, her enhanced mind calculating the odds. "And the Void Hunters will return soon, stronger than before." Xerxes' loyal crew worked frantically at their stations, keeping the ship intact as it absorbed hit after hit. Through the bond, Victoria felt their unwavering dedication. They had seen the truth and would die protecting it. "There might be a way," Xerxes said, pulling Victoria toward the ship's core. "But it requires absolute trust. We'd have to fully merge our consciousness, allowing the ship to use our combined quantum signature as a power source." "The strain could kill us," Victoria noted, seeing the calculations in his mind. or make us transcend our current forms entirely. His star-filled eyes met hers. Either way, we face it together. Another blast rocked the ship, breaching one of the lower decks. Warning signals blared as the living metal struggled to heal itself. Victoria thought of Earth, of her life's work studying the stars, of all the questions she had sought to answer. Now she stood on the brink of the greatest discovery in human history, proof that evolution could be a choice, that different species could join together to become something greater than the sum of their parts. She took Xerxes' hand, their quantum signatures harmonizing instantly. Together, then, let them witness what true unity looks like. They stepped into the ship's core chamber, where streams of pure quantum energy flowed like rivers of light. As missiles and energy beams continued to pound their vessel, Victoria and Xerxes opened themselves fully to each other and to the ship itself. The transformation began, their physical forms starting to merge with the quantum field. Through their enhanced senses, they could feel the astonishment and fear from both fleets as their ship began to change, becoming something that neither human nor Ketharan had ever seen before. But in the depths of space, shadows were gathering. The Void Hunters were returning, drawn by the unprecedented energy signature of their transformation. The true test of their union was about to begin, and the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. The quantum core of the ship blazed with impossible light as Victoria and Xerxes' consciousness merged completely with its systems. Their physical forms dissolved into pure energy, becoming one with the living vessel. Through their expanded awareness, they could sense everything: the approaching Void Hunters, the hostile fleets, and the very fabric of space-time trembling around them. "Look," a voice from Earth's fleet broke the tense silence. "The ship." Their vessel was transforming, its crystalline structure flowing like liquid starlight. The quantum energy generated by Victoria and Xerxes' union reshaped it into something entirely new, a ship that was neither Ketharan nor human in design, but a perfect synthesis of both species' highest potential. The Emperor's voice cut through the comm channels. "This is an abomination against nature itself. All ships concentrate fire." His order was cut short as the first wave of Void Hunters materialized around both fleets. The darkness between stars seemed to coalesce into massive forms, their entropy field already beginning to digest the outer ships of both formations. "Father," Xerxes' voice resonated across all frequencies, though he no longer had a physical form to speak with. "This is what I tried to warn you about. This is why we needed to evolve." Through their shared consciousness, Victoria addressed both fleets. The Void Hunters feed on division and stagnation. They've been culling species that refuse to grow, refuse to change, refuse to reach beyond their limitations. A Ketharan science vessel fell to the Hunters, its crystalline structure crumbling to dust. Earth ships fired their nuclear weapons, but the explosions were simply absorbed into the Hunters' entropy field, making them stronger. "Only together do we stand a chance," Victoria and Xerxes spoke as one, their merged consciousness reaching out to touch every mind in both fleets. "Let us show you the way." Their transformed ship pulsed with energy, extending quantum tethers to all surviving vessels. Through these connections, every human and Ketharan experienced a fraction of what Victoria and Xerxes had discovered, the potential that lay in unity, in choosing to evolve together rather than fight separately. The Void Hunters sensed the change. Their massive forms converged on Victoria and Xerxes' position, determined to stop what was happening. But they were too late. The quantum resonance built to impossible levels as minds began to open, barriers began to fall. The very space around them crystallized with new possibilities as humans and Ketharans chose to accept the change, to embrace evolution over extinction. "No," the Emperor's ship broke formation, charging toward the transformed vessel. "I will not allow our pure bloodline to be corrupted." But even as he spoke, his own crew was changing, their consciousness expanding through the quantum tethers. The Emperor watched in horror as silvery markings began to appear on their skin, their eyes filling with the same starlight that had marked his son's transformation. The Void Hunters attacked en masse, their entropy field threatening to unravel the quantum bonds forming between the fleets. But Victoria and Jerks had discovered something the hunters never expected: the power of willing transformation. Evolution isn't about maintaining purity. Their merged consciousness resonated across space. It's about adaptation, growth, and the courage to become something new. Their ship blazed like a newborn star as they activated the final sequence. The quantum tethers flared with energy, transforming every connected vessel into a node in a vast network of consciousness. Human ingenuity merged with Ketharan technology, creating defenses the void hunters couldn't penetrate. The Emperor's ship was the last to transform, its crystalline structure flowing into new configurations as his crew embraced the change he fought so hard against. The Emperor himself stood alone on his bridge, watching as silver light crept across his skin. Father, Jerx's consciousness touched his mind one final time. Let go of what we were, help us become what we could be. For a moment that stretched into eternity, the Emperor stood on the precipice of choice. Then, finally, he opened his mind to the quantum network. The Void Hunters reeled as their entropy field encountered something unprecedented: an entire fleet of ships and beings that could adapt faster than they could destroy, evolve faster than they could corrupt. Their perfect predation had met its match in the power of conscious evolution. As the hunters retreated into the darkness between stars, Victoria and Jerx's consciousness addressed their transformed fleet. This is just the beginning. We've opened a door that can never be closed, a path to becoming something greater than either of our species ever imagined. Their ship, now a living embodiment of unity between species, turned toward deep space. Other vessels fell into formation around them, their crews forever changed by what they had experienced. Where do we go now? The question echoed through the quantum network, asked by human and Ketharan alike. Through their eternal bond, Victoria and Jerx shared a moment of perfect understanding. Their merged consciousness answered with a single thought that resonated with the power of prophecy fulfilled. Everywhere together. The fleet jumped to quantum speed, leaving behind old boundaries and limitations. They carried with them the seeds of a new civilization, one that would face the darkness between stars not with weapons or walls, but with the unstoppable power of chosen evolution and unbreakable bonds.